Hey, SEGways! Continuing on my series of reacting to ghost hunters going to the same haunted locations that I have visited for myself during my 2025 USA ghost hunting road trip, today I'll be killing two birds with one stone with both the Washoe Club and Goldfield Hotel while watching a young Zak Bagans.
And now we'll meet a brother and sister, at least that's what they claim, right here. Meredith and Zak Bagans.
No, not that young.
See, they're already on your side. All right. Let's not milk it, Zak. Let's not milk it, Zak.
But yeah, that really is Zak Bagans on Wheel of Fortune.
I also attend UNLV, communications major, a minoring in film. I'm also a mobile disc jockey here in Las Vegas, perform at weddings, and teach everybody how to do the chicken dance.
You kind of get the feeling he's always been a bit hungry for fame. Anyway, today I'm going to be watching a not that young Zak Bagans in his first ever Ghost Adventures appearance. This is a documentary that later got snapped up by My Tepelo Entertainment, no idea if I pronounced that correctly by the way, and they turned this documentary into the situational comedy we all know today, Ghost Adventures. You suck! Zak Bagans, Aaron Goodwin, and Nick Groff set off to investigate a bunch of paranormal hotspots around Nevada, many of which I have also been to. So, let's see how different Zak and Co.'s experiences were at these alleged haunted locations to my own.
3 years ago, we were new to paranormal investigating. What you are about to see is the evidence we captured with simple night vision cameras during our first attempts to investigate the other side. Philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "It is the secret of the world that all things subsist and do not die, but retire a little from sight and afterwards return again and again. Nothing is dead."
So yeah, this is going to have a bit of a rough and ready kind of feel to the whole thing. The documentary was released back in 2004, but the first ever episode of the TV show Ghost Adventures was 2008. So it still took these guys a bit of a while to get from the documentary to the Ghost Adventures TV show. But even still, this documentary is going to have nowhere near the budget that the TV show ended up getting. So it's going to have that kind of student film quality to it, which I got to admit does have its own certain charm. Incidentally, the B-roll they're using at the beginning here is the abandoned ghost town of Rhyolite. I also got to visit this place for myself as well, not to do any silly stuff like ghost hunting. Trust me, I did plenty of silly ghost hunting during my time in Nevada, but I just wanted to check it out for myself because it's a really interesting, well-preserved Wild West ghost town.
My proof of their existence took place in this old apartment building in the historic shipyard town of Trenton, Michigan about 5 years ago. Every night at 3 a.m. I was woken out of a dead sleep by a woman calling my name.
Unlikely.
In a short time thereafter, I saw this woman floating before me.
Unlikely.
I was to set out on a 3-week ghost hunting expedition to gather video evidence in attempts to prove my claim.
We're just going to ignore that gross shot of the dead coyote. We're just not going to think about Zak seeing that dead dog at the side of the road, hopping out of the car, asking Aaron and Nick to turn the car around and driving back again so Zak can get that shot of the car driving past the dead coyote while he, Zak, is probably lying on the ground right next to this rotting coyote carcass so the camera is low enough to get this shot. I don't know why I think about these things, but I do. It's just all a bit weird to me.
My patience was growing intolerable with my crew. Nick and Aaron were losing interest in my adventure until we discovered Virginia City, Nevada.
Now I can very much believe the tensions were high between the three of them, especially with Zak and Nick. This didn't seem to improve any once Ghost Adventures became a TV show. Aaron, on the other hand, comes across as far more easygoing and generally more pleasant to be around. I mean, he is a massive bullshitter too, don't get me wrong.
Honestly, it felt like this black mass just hit me, and I was just like, whoa! And then next thing you know, I'm all the way back there.
Bullshit!
This old mining town is one of the most haunted cities in the United States. While driving in, we could sense that this town had more to offer than just its history. We would never forget the experiences of what happened here.
It's so dramatic!
Our first stop was the Silver Queen Hotel, haunted by a prostitute who killed herself in room 11.
Hi, my name is Darlene Dahman, and I've lived in this area of Virginia City for approximately 35 years.
I'm going to be skipping most of the Silver Queen Hotel bit of the documentary because although I was in fact there, and I did get to check out a fair bit of the hotel, I didn't really do any ghost hunting stuff there. I spent most of the time hanging out with Ryan and Dave of Paranormal Quest, since they were about to film their own video at the Silver Queen Hotel, but I had to go somewhere else to film that night. But I did do a live stream with the Paranormal Quest fellas, as well as the Battle Axes of Adelaide Haunted Horizon. But all we need to know about Zak, Aaron and Nick's time at the Silver Queen Hotel is that Zak ended up sleeping that night in the bathtub of the room because allegedly the ghost of a sex worker unalived herself in this bathtub, but this was in fact the same room that myself, Ryan and Dave were doing the live stream in.
Oh, we should. Is the room haunted?
Yes, we're at the one of the most haunted hotels in Virginia City right now.
Oh my God! Everybody wants to see Seg tortured. Seg. Seg.
What?
You tortured.
Yeah, I know. That's because I'm on your live stream. Of course they do.
And guess what? Nothing happened. Nothing at all. But to be fair, I was only in that room and the hotel hallway for about 2 or 3 hours or so. So by wall talking ghost hunting standards, not really that long.
Probably got to go in about 5 minutes. I've got to go to my next location in 5.
Yeah, Seg has to go because he's got to go to another location.
Come and get me, ghost. Look at him slit my wrist just like you did. I got in here because I can hear like water splashing. Like almost like the bathtub's being filled up with water.
I don't believe you.
We headed to the Goldfield Hotel to check in where we're going to be staying the night in the haunted miner's cabin.
I am so gutted that I didn't get to stay at the miner's cabin. There's a fair few alleged haunted locations at Virginia City, but the miner's cabin was one I really wanted to check out for myself. Unfortunately, it was fully booked out for the small window I had during my time in Nevada. If ever I go back around here, I really want to go to the miner's cabin, especially after watching the Demon Files going to this same place, which was honestly one of the most ridiculously hilarious bonkers videos I've ever reacted to. So bonkers in fact that even Zak Bagans' time there was actually subdued by comparison. So anyway, I'll be skipping this part of the documentary since I didn't get to experience it for myself.
45 minutes, we have to meet our contact at the Washoe Club.
I spent the whole night at the Washoe Club with Dave and Ryan of Paranormal Quest that I mentioned earlier.
The owners of the old Washoe Club have had serious problems with angry spirits constantly disturbing customers at the bar, located on the first floor.
Okay, so before I get too far into what happened while the Three Stooges visited the Washoe Club, now is probably as good a time as any to address what happened while I was there because something weird did actually happen on this ghost hunt. At around 2:30 AM, while Ryan was under the Estes session, myself and Dave heard something pretty weird.
I felt a weird sensation on my right shoulder.
What was that?
I don't know.
That was like screaming.
Yeah, that was like a violent scream.
Yes, it was.
Like, ignore the ghost stuff. Is someone okay out there?
What is that?
Did you hear it keep... It happened again as we were walking towards the window, right?
It did.
I've come to the belief that this was in fact a mountain lion roar, as they are known to be in the area. They are pretty uncommon, but I think we can all agree that they are more common than a ghost wailing. I mean, this could just be a person screaming for some reason as well. I really hope it isn't because they sound like they were in some sort of distress, but we never did get a definitive answer of what caused this scream. And at the time, this really did shake me up. But since this all happened, over time, I've been able to think and ponder on what I believe that scream was, and for me, the most logical explanation I can come up with is a mountain lion roar. I do go into more detail about all this in my video at the Washoe Club and the aftermath of what happened after we heard the scream, so if you want to see more of that, please go check that video out. But if you're one to believe in ghosts, I can understand why you'd attribute this to being something paranormal. I mean, it's still a mountain lion.
Okay, we just got here at the Washoe Club, and we're just getting ready to start our investigation. And our investigation starts here at the infamous spiral staircase. The crypt here, this is where they stored a bunch of dead bodies. And from what we were told, a lot of people have taken pictures and have caught a lot of unexplained
things on film in here.
Nothing happened while I was in the crypt, albeit it's a pretty creepy area. It's not used for a storage area like it was in 2004 for all the bar stock stuff. It's pretty much empty now for dumb ghost hunters like me to go, "Is anybody here? Anybody want to talk to me? Please, I'm bored. Talk to me."
The second and third floors of the old Washoe Club are not open to the public. This section is known as one of the most highly active paranormal locations in Virginia City.
Maybe back in the mid-2000s, the second and third floors were not available, but they very much are today for either private overnight ghost hunting or for guided daytime group tours. Today, in 2025, the haunted location business has been thriving.
When we were securing this location to investigate, we were informed by the manager of the bar downstairs that they had so much disturbance up here, they hired a psychic to walk through here about 5 years ago to see if she could communicate with some of the bothersome spirits.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
The psychic stated she came into contact with a very evil spirit and would never return here again.
Good riddance.
We're gonna get our night vision cameras and see if we can't catch any kind of activity on our night vision cameras, and we'll do some EVPs.
Yay.
Aaron and I would start off our investigation here in this room, while Nick would leave and walk the entire building in attempts to capture any activity on a digital recorder and on night vision.
He just took some pictures in this room, and we caught some really weird orbs all over this room.
Something that's not really changed from 2004 Zak to the Zak of today is his love of bloody orbs. But what I find interesting in this documentary, and trust me, we're going to get into this a little bit later, just how typically bullshit the paranormal stuff is in this little documentary, is that the overall pace of the video we're watching now is way better than your average Ghost Adventures TV show episode, at least in my opinion. Ghost Adventures today will claim to have some of the most insane paranormal evidence they've ever captured.
It's like it. Oh gosh.
You know, like they've caught a ghost picking its nose or something. But they'll only dedicate about 3 minutes to it and then it's straight away off to the next scene. Because for some reason, TV executives don't think that the audience has more than 3 minutes of attention to focus on the one thing. But the pacing of this documentary we're watching right here, for me, is way, way better. They allow tension and suspense to not only build, but, you know, to just even exist.
Nick was by himself in this ballroom attempting to record voices from spirits on a digital recorder known as EVPs or electronic voice phenomena. Little did he know we were about to capture something unbelievable on this infrared camera.
I already did my own version of this bollocks while I was in the ballroom of the Washoe Club. Take a look and tell me in the comments how convincing you find it. Just for context here, I am shit at editing. I mean, just take a look at this crude video you're all watching right now. I did all of this on Canva. All you gotta do is keep your camera on a tripod, much like how the camera is on the tripod in the Nick Groff clip, and you make sure you don't move that tripod, you have a still image, and then you overlay it with somebody moving around, and you just change the transparency of the video file, and that video file is overlaid with the still image. I'm not exaggerating, it took me 3 minutes to do all of this on Canva.
This clip was so stunning because there is a way we can analyze the footage to prove that it is of an actual apparition.
Proof? Really? Well, that's a bold claim.
Notice how Nick is visibly clear with sharpened edges, and he blocks the light coming through the window behind him.
Yeah?
Now notice how the unexplained figure crosses the same exact spot where Nick was standing and has elements of transparency and disfigurement. You can easily see that the figure is taller than the light shining through the window in the background, and when it passes in front of it, the light slightly dims.
Yes, you just edit the transparency.
We went to the ballroom where Nick was moments ago. We didn't realize that this was the room where the apparition figure was just captured on video.
Oh my god, I'm feeling it too, bro. Are you really? Yeah. Oh my god, you are.
After seeing the footage of the apparition, we now strongly believe that this spirit just passed right through us, and this was our bodies reacting from its energy.
This is a load of old bollocks.
Okay, even I gotta admit, this ghostly distant wail is kind of interesting after what I heard with Paranormal Quest at the Washoe Club. But I do find it weird how this distant scream isn't replayed or talked about by Ghost Adventures. The rest of the documentary, they do not bring this up or analyse it or replay it once. It's just happened here with Aaron reacting to it in a spooky kind of way, and that's it, it's never brought up again. But while we're talking about weird screams at the Washoe Club, Joe Fatale, who is a ghost hunter from Entity 7 Paranormal, contacted me to tell me about a scream that he also heard while at the Washoe Club several years before I was there.
Oh, he went right in and said Matt. What is he here for? Hey.
Well, come on. We're trying to, not show things off here. Did you hear that too?
I heard a female.
I thought I heard a female too. Ooh, this stream is janky.
No one. No one.
They were live streaming at the time on what looks like on a potato, so unfortunately it doesn't look so great and we can't actually hear the scream, but we can see the guys all react to it. And I do believe the fellas believe that it came from outside, much like Dave and I believe the scream that we heard came from outside. So between our time there, Joe's time there, and Ghost Adventures time there, I mean, don't get me wrong, Ghost Adventures is not very credible, but Joe Fatale certainly is, it makes me ask the question, what on earth is going on here? Could it be wildlife? Which I gotta admit does seem a little less likely, that a mountain lion or some other animal just keeps screaming over and over again over so many years. Could even be a hoax from some of the locals whenever they see ghost hunters going into the Washoe Club. Or, for you believers out there, could it be something else?
Probably not.
We're just headed right now to the cemetery. Before our trip up to Virginia City, I made a call to the sheriff's office and I asked them if we were allowed to shoot at the cemeteries. One of the ladies, Monique, said that just check in when we got here. So it's 10:30 at night, and here's the cemetery to the right. We went to the sheriff's office to see if we can shoot there, and they just gave us the key.
I went to the Virginia City Cemetery as well, albeit during the daytime. It's a beautiful spot with a great view around Virginia City, but nothing paranormal or anything really of any interest happened while I was there, so I'm just going to skip the cemetery bit as well. All we really need to know is that Zak was told a story by a local psychic, because of course he talks to the local psychics, that there are glowing balls of light coming from the graves. And wouldn't you believe it, Ghost Adventures just so happened to capture a glowing ball of light from above the graves. Isn't it amazing how paranormal activity just happens for Zak pretty much every time he turns on his fucking camera? So anyway, shortly after that, they all just start running around and screaming like headless chickens for no apparent reason whatsoever. Something just randomly scared them, and then for reasons, there's some Native American artwork that just keeps flashing up in a blue tint. I have no idea what they were going for with this, and I can't help but think that this part of the documentary is the guys watching the Blair Witch Project one too many times.
As we returned home, it was as if we were entering back into a new era in time. People living in such a fast-paced modern society think about the paranormal and the existence of ghosts.
No, Zak, people have very real problems without having to worry about make-believe problems.
How would they react when one of the most controversial and strongest pieces of evidence supporting their existence is broadcasted to them on live television?
I don't know what we're looking at right now, but if you look at the monitor, what is that we're looking at?
That is the most shocking piece of evidence that we captured.
This made the news. An overlay. Are you for real? Was there just nothing else going on in the world this day?
Now, to people watching this interview going, yeah, right.
Okay, then I'm going to tell everybody that's watching this right now that the apparition sequence, we can guide you through that actual clip and tell you why it is real.
This right here is why Ghost Adventures worked. Zak is a really convincing liar, and he has no issues whatsoever lying right in front of the camera. You can see in this moment how desperate he is to be famous. You can see it in his eyes that this is his chance to make it big time. And to be fair, it worked.
And other news stations broadcasted our claim.
There are ghosts roaming the Nevada desert. At least that's what a new documentary says.
Bloody hell. Who are these news producers greenlighting these kind of stories to broadcast?
You first saw the footage of the unexplained apparition figure following you. How did you react?
Fox as well. I know this is all local news stations and all, but it's still such horseshit.
I was freaked out because I was the only one in this ballroom with this figure that was following me.
Bullshit.
We took the clip to a professional video analyst who specializes in video forensics.
Hi, my name's Slim Ritchie. I'm a video analyst for 10 years now.
Slim Ritchie. Fella has a name and the face of a porn director.
And we're going to take a look at this video to judge its authenticity and make sure it hasn't been altered in any way.
Did video editing software look this old back in 2004? This looks like it belongs in 1983's War Games.
Right now I'm using specific editing tools in an attempt to find any tampering or altering that might have been done with the original footage that's on these clips. The apparition figure here has not been overlaid or pasted into the original footage.
Now, isn't that a load of horseshit?
This can be seen with the vector scope. If the image was altered in any way, I would see the transposed image here on the screen. I did not notice any altering or tampering with the original footage at all. I would say this is really authentic.
I'm not going to trust a word from a guy that calls himself Slim Ritchie. If I was a betting man, I'd say that Zak just sort of found this guy wandering around the streets and gave him some money to just say some shit on camera.
Nick and I were about to push the limits even further by performing one last investigation. Aaron could not make this trip. From its countless documentations, articles, and media attention, this haunted hotel stands in a class of its own.
And here we get to the final destination of this documentary, the famous Goldfield Hotel. I think you could make a pretty strong case that Goldfield Hotel grew in infamy after this documentary. And yes, I also spent the night at Goldfield Hotel along with David from the YouTube channel The Scariest Places.
Red Roberts, he is the owner of the Goldfield Hotel.
A reliable source that this is among the top 10 spookiest places in the world.
Okay, another confession here. I'd like to act like a badass and say that this place didn't have shit on me.
Ain't got shit on me!
But in all honesty, I did feel a bit off at Goldfield Hotel. I've often heard ghost hunters, fake and trustworthy alike, say things like this place has a weird energy and they feel a bit off. And prior to going to Goldfield, I never really could relate to this. I just never really felt that way. But Goldfield hit different. I'm not going to go into too many details about this. I talk about it far more in my Goldfield Hotel video. I'm pretty sure I would have felt this way because of the anticipation and build-up of finally getting into Goldfield Hotel rather than anything paranormal. But I don't know. All I can really say is this place gave me the feels.
Well,
I've heard that full moon provokes more paranormal activity.
right.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
There's supposed to be a gunman up there that they see every once in a while.
What do you mean by a gunman?
An old gunman.
Really?
Gunslinger.
Like an old gunslinger?
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be the ghost of a gunslinger?
Yeah, the ghost of a gunslinger.
I did a live stream trying to communicate with the gunslinger. Bastard ignored me all night.
Okay, we're at Virginia Ridgway's house. We're trying to find her. We're getting locked in the hotel tonight for 8 hours.
Very good.
She is going to come over to the Goldfield Hotel with us right now.
The psychic said, this is before it was remodeled, that she was chained here to a pipe. And there was a pipe here when they started remodeling. And have you? Yeah, okay. And I have a picture of her floating here.
What they're talking about here is the story of Elizabeth, a sex worker back in the day who got pregnant and somebody chained her up to a radiator in the hotel for God knows how long, and then when she finally gave birth, whoever imprisoned her disposed of the newborn, and then Elizabeth, who was still chained to the radiator, bled out due to the lack of medical attention after giving birth. This story, thankfully, is more than likely not true. Let's all hope it's not true anyway, because it is fucking horrific. There is not a shred of evidence to back any of this up, but allegedly Elizabeth is still haunting Goldfield Hotel to this day.
So we're going down to the basement right now?
We're going down into the basement. It was the dark of the moon. Nobody had a match. Nothing. It was so cold and so scary. And these two strangers to me, I said, hold on to me. And we felt our way out, went back up, got to the first floor, went to the door, and I said, let me go across the street to the glory hole and get some...
Wait a minute, let me rewind.
I said, let me go across the street to the glory hole.
What the fuck?
Batteries. And they said, no, thank you, ma'am. And they left and they never returned. More often than not, someone on a tour, a psychic tour, would be pushed coming down these stairs right here.
If this was a psychic tour, wouldn't the psychic have seen this push coming?
Whoa, stop right there. Do you feel the breeze?
I found a little breeze. But no
Your fingers should be tingling at the tips.
It's tingling.
With Red and Virginia leaving, we were now locked inside the Goldfield Hotel.
So we're going to start this off with Nick is going to follow me around.
So pretty much the standard dynamic between Zak and Nick. Well, until Nick just had enough.
So let's go over here to room 109 where the prostitute was chained to the radiator, where she was only left with food and water, and where she eventually died.
It is claimed that the original owner who built the hotel in 1908, George Winfield, got a prostitute named Elizabeth pregnant in the 1930s.
So yeah, that's the whole story I brought up a little bit earlier with Elizabeth. Funny enough, George Wingfield is also heavily suspected to be the guy behind the murder of the woman in white at the Mitzvah Hotel, which is only a 25-minute drive away from Goldfield Hotel. I know all of this because I stayed at the Mitzvah Hotel as well, and I ended up doing another one of those silly little ghost hunts there. George Wingfield pretty much bankrolled the whole town of Goldfield and Tonopah back in the day. There is no evidence that he ever murdered anybody. He just seems to be the boogeyman attributed to a fair few of the ghost story urban legends from today.
Winfield was said to chain Elizabeth to a radiator in this room until the baby was born. Reportedly, he threw the baby down a mine shaft in the north end of the basement, then starved Elizabeth to death.
Bullshit. Elizabeth? Was that you? Or was that you, George Winfield, you coward?
Ooh, you're hard, showing off.
You're the evil one who haunts this place, but you're not going to scare us, you evil bastard.
For all the tough guy act that Zak gives over his career, he really does get scared a lot.
You're the one everybody's been saying that chained Elizabeth up to the radiator. We want to talk to you.
I mean, ignoring the fact that this is the absolute definition of wall talking. Even if George Wingfield had something to do with the fictitious Elizabeth's death, why would George even be haunting the Goldfield Hotel? He died at the ripe old age of 83 in Reno, which is around 220 miles away from Goldfield, and he died 14 years after the hotel was closed down. So even by ghostly law, why would his spirit be in the hotel?
Make another noise. We want to hear you. That's what I thought. You're a coward.
It's so embarrassing.
You can easily see this orb manifest itself, then disappear. I do recall an icy feeling, and now that I see this footage, I believe this is Elizabeth touching my arm.
It's dust, Zak. It's always just dust.
Oh, whoa. Holy. Did you just see something move, or was that just me, or was that a shadow?
Nick claimed he may have captured this event on his camera, and we focused our attention to his LCD screen.
Can we play it back?
Right here, it's coming up.
Hang on, this down a little bit. Whoa. Go back. No, it's coming. Yeah, you could see a figure right there.
Nah, I can't see shit.
You see it?
Move your finger.
Right there.
Damn, I still don't see it. Why in the name of Zeus's teeny tiny package is Zak filming on Nick's camera instead of just showing the footage on Nick's actual camera? To me, the glaringly obvious is that they would have reviewed Nick's footage and realized that there's nothing there. So instead they just show us this whole thing from a far worse perspective.
It was time to head into the basement where the seventh portal is believed to be located, and also where George Winfield threw Elizabeth's baby down the mine shaft. We were completely unaware of what was about to happen. Our infrared cameras will tell the rest.
So for those of you who have seen this Ghost Adventures pilot episode, you know what's about to come. Arguably one of the most famous moments in Ghost Adventures' long and mostly nonsensical history of claiming paranormal bullshit. The brick.
I said brick, not penis.
Nick, I'm starting to get a little freaked out here, buddy. I really am. Is there somebody there?
No.
Stop. Just stop for a second. Please. I'm a little freaked out right now. Just stop. Just film this. Are you filming this?
Yes.
Did you hear that?
I'm capturing right now. I'm filming.
Jesus Christ. It's coming from back here, bro.
Hold on.
Okay, we hear you.
You can just tell how difficult Zak would be to work for, and this was before he had the massive ego increase of being the front man of a TV show.
Is that you making all the noise? Holy oh my God! Holy Stop! Go!
Calm down. I'm going to take a look at some additional footage captured by Zak and Nick. I'm going to give an analysis to see if it's been tampered with.
What's the bet that Zak just gave him another backhander so he could upgrade his Big Mac meal to an extra large that night?
All right, we're going to take a look at some footage here of a brick that takes flight. And here you can see it go off right here and right there.
So this right here is the famous brick footage. But before I give my 10 cents, let's hear what old Slim has to say about it.
I'm going to bring up some graphics right here in a second that's going to show you of a straight line on which if the brick was launched or pulled in any way that it would have gone in a straight line. And you'll be able to see that underneath the line, you'll be able to see the brick come right here underneath the line there, kind of dip down underneath of it right there. Here's another view of it. Dip down and kind of went in an arch there. So in my opinion, that it doesn't look like it's been tampered with. It looks like that something through this brick.
Okay, so not only is this guy playing amateur film editor expert, but now he's giving us a lesson on physics. In order to say this brick wasn't pulled, let's say with fishing wire in an arch shape that he shows on screen here, this would all depend on the distance the string puller was to the brick, the height of which the string puller was as he pulled the brick, and the weight of the brick itself. Personally, I do not think this is a real brick, possibly a children's toy brick. One of the many reasons I think this is not a real brick is when the brick is tossed, we do not hear it land. But shortly after the brick was pulled, we see behind it that a big board type structure falls.
All right, one of the other things that I found on this video after I cleaned it up with the vector scope is there's a board back here that you can't really see back here now, but after I clean it up, you're going to be able to see this board take off from behind the brick. It kind of levitates itself up and flies to the opposite side of the brick. This board right here.
Holy oh my God! Holy
we can hear this board make a loud crashing noise, but we cannot hear the brick landing shortly after it was pulled.
oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Personally, I think this is because the brick is made of foam. I also think that there is a chance Aaron did in fact make it to this trip, and he could well be out of frame as our brick puller. He may even be up on a ladder higher up, so he is up high enough so the brick can fall in this sort of arch shape. But I must stress that this is all just a theory. I have no evidence to support any of this. But what I can say is that Heather, the current caretaker of the Goldfield Hotel, said this when she was with Ghost Club Paranormal when they shot their video at the Goldfield Hotel.
This is where the brick was thrown. It was faked in here.
Now that Heather cleared up that Ghost Adventures brick throwing incident, Mandy and I make our way to the foyer.
So yeah, I honestly believe the famous brick incident was in fact fake.
Well, duh.
As it is their big finale of the Ghost Adventures documentary. I also need to add in here that it is very coincidental that the flashlight from the camera is pointing right at the brick at the exact moment it decides to move. Pretty bloody convenient that Zak got that perfectly on camera really, isn't it? However, there is no doubting that this whole brick thing would have had a huge hand in Ghost Adventures getting their own TV show. So sadly, it really does show that faking your content and deceiving people can pay off in a very big way.
You can't keep getting away with it!
I'm Victor Kuang, and I teach physics at UNLV. And I'm interested in taking a look at some of the footage that presented to me on a flying brick. That's kind of mysterious to me. I'm interested in finding out what has happened.
So this fella here tries to make out that the brick stuff is legit? I have no idea how smart people can be so stupid sometimes. I mean, I'm a class A moron, and even I can give an explanation on to and how this could have been faked.
With the size of that brick, in order to do this without breaking, to lift that brick in such a short time
That's a tremendous amount of force.
Well, it's only a tremendous amount of force if it is in fact the weight of a real brick. Asian Andy Warhol here makes a lot of assumptions. I mean, surely if you're going to come up with a logical explanation for all of this, you got to think about how this would all work out within the laws of physics. And maybe not believe a guy that looks like this.
He can't keep getting away with it!
To listen to Zak Bagans and concede the possibility of a paranormal explanation based on what he has said is crazy to me.
After listening to the video footage of me yelling for Nick, we captured this EVP on Nick's camera, which sounds like a spirit standing right in front of his face screaming his name.
Oh, fuck right off with this bullshit. It just sounds like someone scuffing their shoe on the ground.
We tried to get out, but the door was padlocked, so we jumped from the second floor fire escape.
No, you didn't though, did ya? Funny how we see no footage of these guys on the actual fire escape. Anyway, that's about as much of this video as I could be bothered to watch. There's still another 10 minutes to go, but it's mostly Zak showing that elderly woman we saw earlier the evidence they captured while at the hotel, and she's just gasping in shock over and over again. As ridiculous as this documentary is, I gotta say that I do actually kind of prefer it in many ways to the TV show Ghost Adventures. As I mentioned earlier, I do quite like that they're able to build suspense and tension, and I do quite like the rough and ready way they film this. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's all a load of old bollocks, but I'd expect nothing less from these guys. So, if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the Side Eye Guy channel. Right, I'm off to prepare myself for the next video reaction I've got to make at a location I've been to for myself. Oh, God help me. Ta very much. Cheerio.